It's Monday, September 2nd, 2024, and this is the Climate One audio newsletter. I'm producer Austin Colon.
And I'm producer Megan Basilia.
Have you ever thought about how climate might affect the military or how the military might affect climate? Well, our most recent episode, Military Power, Balancing Security and Climate Threats, covers just that. The U.S. military is one of the world's largest consumers of fossil fuels, and its carbon pollution is equally huge. At the same time, climate disruption is already amplifying crises and conflicts around the world, making climate change, in the words of one military expert, a threat multiplier. The Department of Defense has been making moves to reduce its dependence on fossil fuels. The Air Force has recently invested in electric aircraft, and several bases are tapping into geothermal energy, capturing heat from deep underground. Others are building their own microgrids, islands of electricity that can run on clean sources. This week we explore how the U.S. military is trying to balance global security with climate threats. Listen now on climateone.org or wherever you get your pods.
And if you're in the Bay Area and want to join us for a live recording of Climate One, then listen up, because we have 3 upcoming events with some very exciting guests. On September 16th at 6 p.m., environmental icon Jane Goodall returns to Climate One to reflect back on her life's work. She'll also talk about how we can heal our relationship with nature by better understanding ourselves. She'll be joined by Greg and Rhett Butler, founder of the nonprofit media organization Manga Bay. That's at the Sidney Goldstein Theater on Monday, September 16th.
And that same week, on Wednesday, we'll be joined by Justin Pearson. You may know Justin as one of the legislators who was kicked out of the Tennessee House for protesting in support of common sense gun regulation. He's also a strong advocate for climate and environmental justice. The Sierra Club recognized him as the 2023 National Changemaker of the Year. He'll talk about all that and more with Greg at the Commonwealth Club. That's Wednesday, September 18th.
And on October 1st, we'll be joined on stage by marine biologist Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson, Third Act founder Bill McKibben, and Earth Justice President Abigail Dillon. It's easy enough to look around and see signs of current climate destruction and future climate doom, but Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson asks us instead to focus on the question, what if we get it right? Johnson, McKibben, and Dillon have all dedicated their lives to saving all they can. In their different ways, through science, public education, and legal action, they've been at the forefront of enacting solutions at the nexus of science, policy, and justice. Conservation is an ongoing struggle, and Johnson, McKibben, and Dillon recognize that it will take all of us, not just scientists and lawyers, but farmers and financiers, architects, and advocates, with all our diverse skills to get us through to the other side of the present existential crisis. Join Climate One co-host Ariana Brocious in what's sure to be an inspiring live conversation with Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson, Bill McKibben, and Abigail Dillon. You can get tickets at climateone.org.
And here's what we're reading. Typhoon Shanshan, strengthened by climate change, batters Japan. Typhoon Shanshan slammed into southern Japan last week, dropping more than 2 feet of rainfall in one day in some regions. The third major storm system to make landfall on the island nation in August, much of the intensity can be largely attributed to warming oceans caused by greenhouse gas emissions. Shanshan was downgraded to a tropical storm after making landfall. Due to the intense wind bursts and heavy rainfall, major corporations like Toyota and Nissan were forced to close their production facilities, while flights and even train services were suspended indefinitely. These precautionary measures, known as special typhoon warnings, were once rare for Japan, but the government orders surrounding Shanshan are part of the second special typhoon warning in just 3 years, highlighting the economic ramifications of a warming planet. Another consequence of stronger storms is the potential for secondary disasters, like the landslides reported in Japan's Aichi prefecture. The unique geography and meteorological conditions of the Asia-Pacific and Caribbean regions make nations like Japan especially vulnerable to such multi-disaster events. One small positive of the increasing frequency and power of storms is its role in bringing rapid improvements in storm prediction technology. National weather services like Japan's meteorological agency have increased the time frame with which they can track and chart storm systems, potentially saving lives.
And here are some more headlines we're keeping an eye on. From The Guardian, unprecedented number of heat records broken around the world this year. From Euronews, A small group of nuns in rural Kansas are vexing big companies with their investment activism. From Streets blog, San Diego's transit ridership is on the road to a strong recovery. From Politico, why green groups are going easy on Harris.
All right, let's connect the dots. When the White House proposed the nation's first heat safety standards for the workplace last month, most Republicans were not amused. House Natural Resources Chair Bruce Westerman, a Republican from Arkansas, called the proposal, quote, one of the most idiotic things the White House has ever done. Only a few states have heat rules of any kind for workers, and GOP-led states like Texas have outlawed local heat protections in their entirety. With the planet only projected to get warmer in the ensuing years, can the nation find common ground on how to keep workers safe from heat? Climate One spoke with 2 union leaders, a restaurant worker, and a labor researcher to find out. Listen now to our episode titled, Unions You Wouldn't Expect Bargaining for Climate Action. You can find it on climateone.org or wherever you get your pods.
And that's it for this week's Climate One audio newsletter.
Thanks for listening.